Felicia Michaels, my princess, has been entertaining audiences with a unique
Joey
style
Coco Diaz has
of
been rocking
provocative humor
comedy
since the
stages for
90s, all right?
15 years.
With her
You've seen him in
tongue-in-cheek,
films and
she's been
television,
exploring
but
such
his
topics
real
as the
patois,
dynamics
as
of
his
the
fond to
male-female
say, are the
relationships,
stories from
or
his
as we call them
past
here in
and
the
his
studio,
chaotic
dirty
views on
thoughts,
life that will make
and
this
the
podcast
proliferation
a different
of the
beast.
sensual
Raw
feminist.
pain and
She's a little
passion
firecracker
sound
rolled
really
up, and that's why I
describe
love her,
this
and that's why you're going to love
New
listening. So
Jersey
tune in, all right?
Animal. The Love Boat, always exciting and always new. The Love Boat. Come over, Mr. Diaz. Turn your phone off. Come be with me. Come sit. Oh, here he comes. And he's got spring colors on.
What's up, you sexy animal?
How's it going, Joey?
You know, here seeing you. Greetings to all you little cocksuckers out there in Podcastville. We're back, bitches.
We are back.
Felicia Michaels.
Joey Diaz.
What's up, you sexy little ray of sunshine?
Oh my gosh, I've had a fun week.
I know.
Let
me tell you something. Your party set off the mood for the week.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes something happens on a Sunday. You get to go around family, and you have something good that it just sets off the week.
Right.
It puts the week on a good foot. You start on the right foot. You know.
Yes.
So thank you very much again for inviting me to your little beautiful
soiree.
Easter party.
Yes.
We were talking. It was funny because when I got here, I did a one-man show last night, and you couldn't go because you took your children to a baseball game.
They had a double hitter.
And
yeah.
I told you that, next time I don't want to overstep my bounds as your friend. I like to go to one of their games. And you turned to me really nonchalantly. You go, if you go, you can't yell. And we had a laugh because our friend was here. And it's really weird now with Little League Baseball and all this baseball. If you go to these games, especially like in Sherman Oaks and Woodland Hills and all those up there,
right?
You can't yell with the kids as far as like, come on, Tommy, you could do it. This guy's got nothing. He's batting. You can't intimidate.
Yeah, you
something
can't
like that.
yell. Yeah.
And the reasoning being, because I seen the rules that my friend had to sign, was because you don't.
I know you have to sign rules now.
Did you sign them too?
Yeah, you have to sign
as
rules.
a parent. Did you sign? Okay, because I seen his. I don't know if it's the same league. And because he would go out of town, he's a comedian. He would say, "Go up to the Little League field and watch my son." But on the way up, Saturday morning, he goes, "Oh, by the way, put a muzzle on, dog, because you cannot yell." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Wait till you go up there. These are white people. These are real Republican wasps. You cannot yell." And it was mind-boggling to me. And then I spoke to another friend of mine that had a kid up there, and he told me they escorted him off to the Little League field.
Oh, yeah.
They escorted him off. They called the cops and said, "You're not allowed back at the Little League game because you yelled." And he couldn't believe it. He goes, "I go to professional baseball games. I didn't even say nothing bad." But what do you think about that, having two boys?
Well, actually my boys played yesterday, and they're on two teams, and the teams happen to be playing one after the other. So they beat both teams, like pretty good scores, 13-1 and like 12-3 or something like that. But my little one was on a team, and they beat him 13-1, and they got all excited, like, "Yeah, we're better!" And they started, and the coach, he was just like, "I never want to see that." And he like freaks out on them, and all the mothers are like, "Oh shit," you know what I mean? And I think it's a good thing, but it's a weird thing. Like, like now you're not allowed to hurt people's feelings. I get it. You shouldn't hurt little kids' feelings, but you're not allowed to yell anything out.
I'm not in business to hurt little kids' feelings, but little kids have to hurt other little kids' feelings so they can grow up and grow and learn. I mean, we were just talking about that to an extent. I don't want a bunch of kids bullying my kid on the Little League field, but if he's 0-3 and somebody says, "Hey, Diaz, you suck," they're telling the truth. You're fucking 0-3. You left bases on. You left men on the bases. I mean, that's going to be life. You're going to have some disappointment according to life. I don't want you going out there and saying, "Hey, that Cuban kid sucks dick." That's completely wrong.
Right.
But, you have to, and it's like most of the yelling and screaming is a mental thing. When coaches go ahead, score on him. He ain't got nothing. It's just a mental thing, so the other guy thinks he's really weak.
Oh, absolutely, right.
And that's it. So it goes into your head. I watch a UFC fight sometimes. The two guys are in the ring, and I'll go early to the pre-card, and I'll listen to the coaches yelling at the fighters, and they're like, "You see the opening. You see the opening." You don't see nothing, but the other guy's hearing that going, "Where's my opening?
Yeah.
My hands are up. What the fuck am I doing?" So it's part of that too.
Right.
You're just trying to get the kids. So when I seen it, I didn't know how to describe it. I thought it was good. One part of it was socially, because when I played ball, people would say, hey, here's the fucking, because I was skinny when I played Little League, here's the x-ray going to bat, you know, like, he ain't got nothing. You know, like the other opposing coach would go, all right, this guy ain't got nothing or something. You had to learn to live with that. Now, if you can't do that, there's really nothing nowhere for the kids to learn, those social skills. That's why I've never really liked homeschooling.
No, homeschooling, I mean, for some people, I guess it works, but I couldn't do that with my kids because you were saying, too, when we were talking about it, about how part of education is being socialized.
It's 8 years of being social and learning the ups and downs. So when you get to be 18, nothing really affects you. You know how to handle things in life. I mean, listen, when you go to college, they did a study 20 years ago, and they found that if you read the Wall Street Journal, or the New York Times is the one that all the smart people read. But they said even if you were the dumbest person in the world and you read the Wall Street Journal World section from front to end every day for 4 years, you would learn more than what you would learn if you went to the biggest Harvard college ever. You know? But, so you read the New York Times for 4 years and then you go to apply for a job. And they say, what have you been doing for 4 fucking years? I read the New York Times every day for 4 years. I don't know that. When people go to college, it's to show employers, not that they got a degree in psychology or a degree in like all these people go, well, I have a degree in math, but I can't get a job or something like that. I know people who have degrees in fucking sports medicine, not even sports technology, which is, you know, how to make a sneaker or something. And today they're making $300,000 a year because all the employer really wants to see is that you did something for 4 years.
Right.
That you had a record of where you worked. That's why I like these people. Oh, I'm going to go into the bodyguard school. Well, if I'm a fucking guy, who do I want? The guy that went to bodyguard school or the guy that was in Vietnam dodging bullets?
Right.
You learn how to be good in the fucking technical class. You know what reactions you get when a gun goes off next to you? You have no idea when a gun goes off next to you because you don't know where that bullet's going. You know, and that's what these people don't understand. Well, I'm a bodyguard. Bitch, the first time you hear a gun go off or an Uzi or an automatic weapon, shit will come out of your fucking ass. I did the first time. Because I thought I wanted to be, I could do this shit. The first time a gun goes off, I love how they portray bullets in the movies. Like, you just shoot at each other and whatever. Let me tell you something. When a fucking gun goes off, dog, it scares the shit out of you.
It's a weird thing.
And if a gun's coming at you, like you see them in movies, they duck behind rocks, then they pull around and shoot. Let me tell you something. If I know somebody's got a gun, I ain't showing my head at all. I'm like the fucking little bug. What's that animal that comes out February 1st? Puts his head back in. Fuck you. What's it? The groundhog. I swear to God. You know, but they show these people. The reason why we want practical experience. And I've always loved that with life. I hate people who read a book and then try to tell me about a fucking subject. You know, all these people read all this Tim McKenna stuff. Whatever, the guy that was a psychological fucking warrior. And then they come and they're like, oh, you don't understand. Let me tell you something, bitch. I found my mother on the floor dead while I was on a hit of acid. If that's not the psychological trip of the fucking year, did Timmy McKenna ever fucking find his mother dead on the floor with her arm green and the colors were turning purple and red right in front of her? You understand me? So I always tell people, live your fucking life. You're going to go read some guy that he had an experience. Read your life. That's the best experience you can fucking get. You know? And the same thing goes with these kids. If these kids don't get yelled at an early age, hey, you suck, they're not going to go home and learn how to make adjustments and think that life is just great.
Right.
Oh, I went 0-3. I don't suck because nobody said it. You fucking suck, bitch. You can't hit a lefty. You can't hit a left-handed pitcher. You better go home and work on it. But
right.
I don't think that.
So you won't be going to see my kids playing
baseball?
Yes, I
will. I just won't. I just yell in Spanish. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So they don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah, by the way, no one would know what you were saying.
No, there's not one Spanish kid. They got one Spanish little Mexican kid that don't really show him off. They see him in the back. You know what I'm saying? I did the one-man show workshop last night. This is the first one, April, whatever it was last night. Then I'm putting it up again May 19th, and a couple people coming to that one, see that one.
And it's May 19th?
Yeah, at this NoHo Theater thing on Lancashire. I don't know the address or the name of it.
Okay.
And it's really weird because last night all we did was just to see where the patois went, where the words were. And I got to tell you, I've been writing this for 2 years, little by little, and it's been, mistakes. I ripped the computer from scratch. And it's just really weird because it's very hard to talk about your life. There was one section the other day that I had to rewrite. And I got to tell you, it took me 4 fucking hours to write. When I was a kid, I hung out with that crazy Balzano family, And one day we were in the front playing gym. We didn't have a gym in McKinley, so we used to have to play outside in the winter Okay, no fucking gym in the building. Winter, gym class.
Right.
You went outside in the winter and you
Yes.
shovel snow.
Yeah.
Like one of the things was shoveling snow. Okay,
Yeah.
that's how fucking bad our
Yeah.
grammar school was. So one day we were playing kickball, and this kid, they were yelling "Coco cara moco." In Spanish, that means Coco boogie face. Even though I came from a white neighborhood in Jersey, all these motherfuckers spoke Spanish because they were Italian. So they understand. They're Sicilian, so you're halfway there. So all these little Sicilian kids knew, and then a couple Irish picked up little words. Like we had the kid who had fleas, and fleas in Spanish is piojo. So all these white kids would say, Clemito tiene piojo. And they were white kids, but they would speak Spanish. You know what I'm saying? It was cute, you know what I'm saying? And when you're the only Spanish kid in the class, there's maybe one other one, it's kind of weird. So they're playing kickball and they're yelling this, and the teacher turns around and he goes, hey, you're not allowed to fucking speak Spanish in my class. And to be honest with you, my mother at home said, you're in America now. Outside the house, don't talk Spanish. It's very fucking rude. We're in America. You want to talk Spanish, talk in the house. When you're in front of white people, please have the fucking decency to speak fucking English. That's all you could do for these people. They let us in our country. You know what I'm saying? My mom was selling drugs, but she was very patriotic at the same time. And that's a true story.
Oh, I know. That's why
my mom
funny.
had a picture of Kennedy on the fucking wall.
Yeah,
You understand me?
yeah.
Most Cubans have a picture of Kennedy with an X going through it.
Yeah.
My mom had a picture of Kennedy. She loved Jack Kennedy. It's amazing. So, they're yelling, and all of a sudden the teacher tells Anthony, you can't speak Spanish. Anthony goes, you know what? Go fuck yourself, guy. The guy comes over and starts pulling Anthony's hair, just pulling it. So me and this kid, Martin Perez, jump in. This is the 8th grade. And we fucking grab the teacher. He turns around and grabs my hair, and we got him. And also the teachers had all the classes, all the older classes were on the basement, so they could see what was going on. So that's all these teachers came out, all these students came out. But he made a mistake. He hit that kid Anthony Balzano, who his dad was Carmine the Torch. So we all go upstairs to the principal's office. We sit down. Anthony says, can I get a piece of paper? Take him a piece of paper. He starts going like this with his hand. Right now I'm taking my hand and waving it through my hair. And he took the piece of paper with all the hair on it that the guy pulled down. He put it on top of the desk. And he goes, I need to use your phone. He called his father. 10 minutes. There's 4 cop cars outside. 3 cop cars get out. They start giving tickets. Carmine comes up. This is one of the most touching things that ever happened to me in my life. It took me 4 hours to write this, and it took me a month to call, because I wanted to get my facts straight. So I called kids that when I went home, I looked up kids that were in the 8th grade class that remembered that event, and I asked them what had happened. And one girl goes, do you really know what happened that day, what that fight was about? And I go, no, it was about you. She goes, you don't remember? And I go, I kind of do, what he said. Let me tell you what happened there. Now, when I had moved from New York City to Jersey, I had stuck up for Anthony one day. He was getting beat up by this Irish family. And I had just moved it was my first day in the neighborhood. And I'm looking at this, and from New York, I know not to let people jump on. You want to fight them one-on-one, we're in.
Right.
So I jump in, I try to break it up, and this kid looks around, and he's like, man, all these kids were here, and you're the only one that stuck up for me, a fucking spick. A fucking spick stuck up for me. And I always remembered that. So he invited me into his house and all this shit. So we go upstairs to the principal's office. He calls. His father comes. His father comes into the office. He's like, what happened? And everybody's yelling at him. This kid said this. And he goes, enough. Coco, what happened? And I go, here's what happened. I was kicking the ball, and they were yelling in Spanish, and he said he didn't want Spanish. And he goes, yeah, what? And I go, that's what happened. And then people got mad because he said that. And he goes, how did you feel about it? And I go, me? It didn't bother me, Carmine. To be honest with you, my mother told me not to speak Spanish outside the house. So then he goes like, like right now you have 2 children.
Right.
And you'll walk in and the babysitter will say, something happened. And then you'll ask your older boy, what happened? But the younger boy will always tell you what happened to the letter with no bullshit. This was the way Anthony was. He had 4 boys. So he looks at Anthony and goes, Anthony, what happened? And Anthony's huffing and puffing because he's hot. And his hair, and he's got the sheet of paper in his hand. And he throws a piece of paper and he goes, let me tell you what fucking happened. That piece of shit said we couldn't speak Spanish. And as far as I'm concerned, Coco's fucking Spanish. And as far as I'm fucking concerned, nobody disrespects that kid while I'm around. And I just, I never heard that. Somebody had my back, And all of a sudden Carmine looks at him and he goes, you're right. He goes to the principal, let me talk to the teacher. And he goes, Carmine, if the teacher comes out, there's not going to be a problem, is there? And the guy's like, no, I just want to talk to him, to let him explain what's going on here. This guy didn't take 2 feet out. Carmine grabbed him and started punching him. Boom, the guy went down and he's kicking him. Those De Niro kicks and Goodfellas.
Right.
He's kicking
Where's
him.
the cops at this
The
point?
cops are outside giving tickets. Carmine's
Right.
a cop. So they're outside giving tickets, right?
Carmine the Torch is a cop.
He's a cop in real life. He's kicking this fucking guy, bam, bam, in the stomach. And while he's kicking him, he was saying, "Don't you ever insult my son, Coco." So here I am, fucking part of this. And I always knew I was part of the family.
Yeah.
This just confirmed it. That was the handshake that said, he called me his fucking son, you know?
Yeah.
So 2 weeks later, we're at the courts with the same Anthony Balzano kid, and we're playing, and he says to me, "Hey, man, my mother called me up. Do you want to go in for dinner with me?" And I go, "No," because I used to go to karate from 6 to 9, 13 to 15. You go to later classes at little kids, then the men's classes at night. So I went up to the karate class, and then usually on the way down the hill, I would walk down, and if it's, I would go to his house and shoot hoops till about 11. I would call my mother and say, "I'm over at the Balzano house." Well, that night when I was walking down, there was no lights on at the house. I was like, wow, maybe they went out for ice cream or something. Who knows? And I go home the next morning. I go to school, and Wally Lindsay, one of my teachers, this is how corrupt my school was. He was the mayor of Weehawken. He was a high school teacher, a grammar school teacher at the same time. I walk in. He goes, "Can I talk to you outside for a second?" He goes, "Hey, dog, Anthony got into a car accident last night. He's in a coma. He might not live." And I remember going to the hospital and touching his hand. But what I remember the most was that Carmine and Marianne, the mother and father, went on national news before Saturday Night Live on a Saturday, and local news like Eyewitness News, where it was NBC, and they said, "Listen," because at that time in Jersey was a thing called the Karen Quinlan case. A girl went out and got drunk and ate Valiums, and then she went into a coma, and there was this big case about pulling the plug. So he didn't want to pull the plug on Anthony, so he was pleading with them. Here's this big, tough fucking mafia fucking cop, like just saying, "Please, if there's any doctors who could help my boy, I'll pay you any amount of money. Money's no fucking object." And it was true because he was robbing the town at the time. He got caught with corruption later on. But I still love Carmine.
Yeah.
I talked to him yesterday. I talked to him
you
yesterday
did?
on the phone. Yeah. Before I went and did the one-man show, I called him up and I go, "Hey, if this is any good, we're going to call it Meet the Balzanos." Because that's what it was. It was my world with them. And that kid died May 17th. But it was so weird that was the first time in my life that I had somebody stick up for me and was proud of me in a way, you know?
Yeah.
It took me fucking, 4 months to get all the stuff in, and then it took me 5 hours to write that piece because I was crying the whole 5 hours. That's the tough thing about
Right.
one-man shows. And the other thing that's really tough about one-man shows is that people have forgotten what a one-man show is. People keep saying to me, "Well, how funny is it?" You're not supposed to be funny. The stories are what's funny. When you watch Goodfellas and they're sitting at the kitchen table after they killed the guy and put him in the trunk of a car and they're eating breakfast with the mom, and then he looks up with a knife and he goes, "Ma, can I borrow this to cut the hoof off the fucking thing?" That's hysterical. That they even, can you imagine me killing somebody and coming over here and eating with your family while the guy's in the trunk? That's the funny thing. You don't have to add anything funny to it.
Right.
That's the thing about a one-man show. So I tried to remove the stand-up from it and let the comedy be in the stories. And it's just really hard to write, Felicia. But you know what?
I'm so
happy I
you
did it.
I'm
And
so happy.
and I want you to do it. Because you have stories too. And it's really weird what you find out.
But my
about
stories
yourself.
aren't like your stories.
It doesn't matter. We all had a life and we all
Yeah.
have stories. It doesn't matter. And we all went through some type of something that we learned from.
That's
You know,
true.
who would have learned in that violence? I picked up that those two motherfuckers loved me.
Mm-hmm.
Those after that kid died, that house was never the same. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure.
The whole neighborhood was never the same. I was in denial. I went from smoking pot and drinking Boone's Farm once a month to doing window pane acid. I went for I didn't start doing heavy drugs till 2 years later, but for that year, it was amazing. I started doing THC crystal, aka horse tranquilizer. That they give it a fancy name, but I went from one extreme to another, and I didn't know that then. But now, I was in denial from the pain of Anthony. You know, I didn't even know. You find out years later. So,
Well,
if you're planning on doing a one-man show, you better drink some fucking
tranquilizers.
ulcer medication
some.
because I almost got an ulcer writing this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it fucked with me a couple days. And a couple days I come here because it's the truth. It's your life, bro.
Yeah.
This is, you're looking at a mirror and
Yeah.
there's no lying. You know, they say when cats smell you, it's a background check. They know every cat you've ever had contact with. And that's why some cats like people more than others, because they could smell it. They have a lot of contact with cats, you know. And this is what it was, that experience, writing it out. And I tell everybody, like people say to me, "Well, I have a bad memory." I tell you what, sit down and write something, start writing it, and ask your parents questions, and it'll come back to you. And it's painful when it is.
Yeah.
You'll figure out why you fucking forgot it. You'll figure it out. You'll go, "Oh my
sure,
God,
yeah,
I forgot
yeah.
that sentence because that dug into my fucking soul." Felicia had, the Easter party. You know, everybody had cameras. You know, everybody's got a fucking camera today. So everybody posted pictures. So right now on Facebook, there's got to be about 20 pictures of Felicia, you know, serving meat and drinking coffee and eating fruit. And I got to tell you.
It's because everyone has a camera on their phone.
Right.
But those things are notoriously fuzzy all the time.
Yeah,
so how do you
but
look bad because you're fuzzy?
You looked beautiful. I was looking at a picture of you that
fuzzy.
you're bringing out like a platter with cake.
I know, but I posed for that
And I would
picture.
fuck you in that picture. That's how
Really?
beautiful you look. I almost whacked off to that picture.
That's
A
only
girl.
because I was holding a platter of meat.
Because no woman ever has a cake in her hand. That's beauty right there.
Oh, when I had the cake.
Oh,
yeah.
you had the cake.
Yeah,
You had something in your hand. I'm like, look at Felicia looking
yeah.
hotter than a motherfucker.
Ooh, I like that.
That's my little side pussy.
Yeah, do that again.
Like a motherfucker.
Wow.
When you eat pussy, you gotta learn head techniques and movements. And when you eat ass, at the beginning, you always eat it twisted because the asshole's up there lingering. You know what I'm saying? So, and as
I
you
wish
get
you
older,
guys could see the
as
visuals that I'm
Sure,
seeing
because
right
when
now.
you eat ass when you're young, you don't want to touch the asshole, so you always eat ass at the 3 o'clock position. You know what I'm saying? But either the more drunk you get or the more experience you get, your head goes towards lunchtime because it's getting closer to the asshole, and you after a while you say, fuck it, there's nothing I can do. It's here. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I can't hide from the asshole. I can't put like a hospital sheet
Yes.
in between me and the guy next door. Look at Felicia. Why are we talking
I'm just
about
like,
this shit? Why are we talking about
You're
this
giving
shit?
advice on how to enjoy an asshole before 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Hey, what are you gonna do? If you ain't high by 2, go fuck yourself. And you don't eat fast by 3, there's something wrong with you. You know what I'm saying?
There, you can add it on.
There you go. What was the story you had for me? You had a story.
Oh, well, big news with the activity partner.
Dun,
Dun,
dun, dun. And I knew this was
dun.
coming any
No.
day now because she's been looking happier and happier.
well-
He looked so handsome the other day. But it wasn't that, like, I met him 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and he was very handsome then, but the smile wasn't as big. So I'm either thinking she shoved her tongue deep, deep, deep into the crevice of his pee hole, or he's in love.
Oh, well, anyway. So,
Don't fucking deny me.
I
Don't
know,
see
but listen to
women
this.
always hate this
But
shit.
this is the thing. It's like this is the first time in my life where I haven't, that I've been trying to be relaxed about stuff. I mean, I do my weirdness anyway, but
If these
I was like,
motherfuckers only
fuck
knew.
it, let's just go with the flow. And then I opened up the Facebook, and he's like, I'm in a relationship with Felicia Michaels, and I was like, what? I actually texted him, I think someone has hacked your account. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Like, do I write something? I better not write something, And so anyway, because it's a new modern way to go about love. That's for sure. Christ Almighty, and I only had to defriend him about 37 times to get him to push that fucking
You know what
button.
the funny thing is that some people have met their daughters on Facebook or their lost long children. You
Right.
found out you were in a relationship on Facebook.
It's a whole new thing.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's a whole new fucking life out there. But I gotta tell you something, and I tell you this in a sincere way because I hate everybody. I don't lie. I can't stand half of these motherfuckers. I've always liked your activity partner.
Activity
And
partner's
you
cool.
two together are one of the cutest couples.
Aw.
I wish you don't lose your
We'll
mind
see.
and fucking fire them like you do to most of these heartbreakers when they start getting too close to
All
my
right,
girl.
All right. So anyway, a word from
Cut
our
that,
sponsor.
Cut that.
A word from our sponsor.
We're going back with my main fucking man over here, skinindustries.com, a leader in athletic apparel. Go to skinindustries.com, get your Beauty and the Beast collective t-shirts. Some people calling and emailing, seeing if we could sign them and send them back. So I got to put a whole package together where I get 3
We
days.
need an intern. We need an intern.
I'm my own fucking intern. Trust me.
We need an intern.
No, I'm my
we
own
should have a
intern.
contest for a Beauty and the Beast intern.
You don't want to be an intern here.
Yes,
Trust me.
you do.
No,
Yes,
you
you
don't.
do.
No, you don't. This is not
Yes,
good. This
yes.
is not good.
Yes, you do.
No, so I got to put all this stuff together. So give me a couple days, guys. I promise you. My man in Buffalo, I got to send him 2 shirts. My man down in Orlando who sent me a Dr. J ball, I got a shirt for you. I got a shirt for Ali Baz in Australia. That's my man. Ali Baz
Yeah,
loves
he's a good
us
guy, yeah.
more than anybody in the fucking world, that Australian cocksucker. Him and Mr. Big and all those guys. And I love you guys on Twitter and Facebook. I really do.
And by the way, the comments on our comment board, people are starting to friend each other in a cocksuckery kind of way.
And they're at war and they love
They're
each
at
other.
war, they
And
want
I
to
love
hug,
you guys.
They want
And
to
I
cry,
love
they
that.
want to touch peepees in the dark.
I
It's
think-
awesome.
Yeah, I think that now we're ready to put up like a post board where people can thread about shit. That's the next move.
I had a very interesting night the other night. The activity partner, and I'm sorry that I'm talking about this again, but he takes me to dinner and he's like, hey, I'm going to meet some old friends of mine. Would you mind if we went to have dinner with Harry Dean Stanton, another friend of mine? You know who that is, right?
Yes.
And I was like, and he was kind of like saying it like, would it be okay if we, I was all like, yeah, I want to put my eyes on Harry Dean Stanton. Yeah,
That's
let's
the
do
older
it.
guy.
Yeah.
Funny motherfucker.
Yeah, he was on
Oh, please, he was in Godfather 2.
Right.
He plays the fucking bodyguard to Frankie Five Angels.
And he was in True Blood this year, and he's in one of my favorite movies of all time, Paris, Texas. And so I was like,
he is.
fuck yeah, I want to go see. So so we go, and they're just having drinks or whatever. And he's like 85 years old, and you know, he's 85 years old, but you know what? He looked pretty good, and it was really fun to see. Oh, so the activity partner introduces me to him, and this is Felicia, and she's, you know, I think he knew that I was a comedian or something. He's like, oh, you're a comic, and he goes, what kind of jokes do you do? And I go, Harry, I do pussy jokes. And he lights up. And he's like, no way. And he proceeds to tell me the dirtiest pussy joke that he knows. And it was just a really fun night because of the fact it was a bunch of these guys and the activity partner, Harry Dean Stanton, and to see how much people loved him. Like, people would come up to him in the restaurant. You know, people made sure he was eating. You know, people made sure, you know what I mean, to get that he was given the right.
He's a great character.
Yeah.
And he's always likable in every role that he does. He did a
Yes.
movie with Travolta and Sean Penn that's called She's So Lovely, that it's not an Academy Award winner by no thing. But him and Sean Penn play these two bar rats to the fucking essence.
Yeah.
And there's one, here they are at a bar. Henry Dean Stanton's got 8 drinks in front of him. He does blow. He does everything in this movie. Excuse me. And he's sitting there, and fucking Sean Penn's talking about Martians and lesbians, and just in this rant, he's going crazy in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You really go, they put him in an insane asylum. He's going crazy, and Harry goes, whoa, whoa, stop that talk. You know I'm a Catholic? And I fucking lost it. Because he was just talking about Martians. There's another scene, he goes to Travolta's house, and Travolta whips out a gun, and he goes, whoa, put that thing away. It ain't that type of party. That's a great line. You know what I'm saying? That's a great line. He's always, and I think he must write the lines himself, because they can't be any cooler, his lines.
Yeah.
That was fucking great. That's
Isn't
a really
that a
good.
fun
Yeah,
night?
yeah.
And I thought, well, should I say it on the podcast? And then that's name dropping. But you know what? I was like, fuck, it was Harry
Oh,
Dean
people
Stanton.
want to see this shit.
But it was really, you know, and when we left, the activity partner's like, I'm sorry if you were bored with all the stories. And it's like, you know what?
Are you fucking kidding
love
me,
when
guy?
people sit around in a circle, have a couple of drinks, have great food, and just tell each other, whether it's stories they've lived or stories about other people. You know, it was really nice to see that kind of camaraderie between.
He was a regular guy. No Twitter,
Yeah.
no drama,
Yeah.
no TMZ.
Harry Dean Stanton should be on Twitter.
But you know what's crazy, Felicia? That I would get off more sitting with him than sitting with Angelina Jolie. Like, I would have nothing to talk to her about. I don't even want to look at her.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's so celebrities that people go crazy over. They're not the ones. I remember for the first time I was on Sunset, and I was in a car, and I'm at a light, and I turn over, and I see James Coburn and an Acura, whatever, NSX. That, to me, was like seeing God.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Fuck all these fucking kids. This guy from the Social Network. They could all suck my dick. This is James motherfucking Coburn.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing like seeing one. I was just at lunch and I went to get a sandwich at Roma on the way here because I hadn't eaten since breakfast, and Tony Danza walked in. It didn't mean nothing to me, you know what I'm saying? I could have said hello to him, but I could care less, you know? There's just some people that grab me. And, you know, I can't even tell you. I'd die if he was around me.
Right.
He was in the fucking Godfather, too. He played the guy that was the care sitter to Frankie Five Angels. By the way, one of the greatest characters in any movie. If you've never seen Godfather 2, for the Cuba and all that shit, that's all visual. And they had my favorite Jew of all time, Meyer Lansky. They portrayed him. He was portrayed by the famous acting teacher. Pacino got him to do it. It's a great movie. But please, focus on fucking Frankie Five Angels, I forget what his name is, and Henry Lee Stratton, because he would talk to him all the time.
Yeah.
Come on, you ready to go? We got to go. Today's your big day. Hey, Frankie, you ready to play cards? It was them too.
Yeah.
But have you ever seen Godfather 2? It's been a while.
I never saw Godfather 2.
Godfather 2, they go to Cuba, and they meet Meyer Lansky and the whole thing, but there's a scene in there that a lot of people don't know that there was a big fat guy, and Adam Sandler come up to me once and he goes, you know, the best stomach on television was the guy in The Godfather when he's laying down in the bed in the first one. He goes, but I think your stomach is second. This guy had a great stomach. And he lived in North Bergen at the time. When they buried him at Veneria Funeral Parlor, my friend's funeral parlor. That's how much I had in common with this fucking fat guy. But I guess for Godfather 2, they couldn't come up to a contract agreement. So they made him like he died, and they put one of his soldiers up. And it was played by this old guy that's bald. Oh my God, Felicia, is he fucking good and hysterical. And people say his lines all the fuck. Michael Corleone did this. Michael Corleone did that. He just has great lines. So if you ever get a chance to watch Godfather 2, focus on Frankie fucking Five Angels. I have a story about patience. And I want to tell a very interesting story about patience.
Because I need patience.
I was never a patient guy growing up. And I'm going to give a shout out before I tell this story about patience to my man Mikey El Negro, a.k.a. down in Florida there from North Bergen. He's gonna remember this story. I don't know if you were around there. He's one of my friends from Jersey that listens to this. We had this friend growing up. His name is Randy Mergel. Randy Mergel was an Irish-German kid, kind of big naturally, had a couple brothers. And he was a street kid. When he was a junior or a sophomore, he robbed a safe and had $25,000 in it from the embroidery company. And he became a dealer. And he was very good at it. And he was very athletic, but he didn't want to be part of society like that way and play football. His senior year, he went out for football. And this kid hadn't hit since the 8th grade. And they had to start him. He was a fucking wild man, this kid, Randy Mergel. And we used to do some crazy. We almost got killed once. I almost died with him. I did a hit of acid and went down to Jersey Shore and went on the water slides. And I popped my head up and a bridge was coming. If I wouldn't have ducked, I wouldn't have been here talking to you right now. I would have died. And I knew him that good. We used to party till 5 in the morning. We went to see AC/DC. We took a bus down the shore once on acid, listened to AC/DC. The bus driver kept pulling over and telling us to stop. And I became friends with him. And then, as usual, you drift off as you get older. And when he was still 19, we hung out with this guy that wasn't from North Bergen. Till this day, I don't remember his name. And he was kind of a big guy, you know, and he bought Coke from Randy. And one night I hear, did you hear what happened to Randy Mergel? He went out last night with a bunch of guys and got beat up. That seems odd, because I don't know a lot of people who could beat Randy up. So when I get to the hospital, the kid hit him with a pipe. He goes, I don't know where I was. He goes, bro, I was in Fort Lee, and these black guys attacked me, and it was the weirdest fucking thing. They hit me with a pipe and everything. So he comes out of the hospital. We're like, Randy, we're here for you. If you want to get a car and go up to Fort Lee and look for these people. He's like, nah, just give it time, you know. I'm not going to find these guys, blah, blah, blah. And this went on for about a year. One night I get a call from Randy Mergel. He's got a couple beers in him. And he goes, where are you? He goes, I'm over here by this thing. He goes, I'll pick you up. I want to talk to you about something. I think I owed him $40, but I thought I was mad at him. I thought he was mad at me about the $40. He pulls up and he goes, hey, man, I want to tell you a true story. He goes, I lied to you. You're one of my best friends, and you really came to my aid when I got hit. And I didn't want to tell you. He goes, I know who hit me that night. But if I got up out of bed, he was ready for me. This kid made up a story that he didn't remember who hit him.
Yeah.
He just made up the story that he was too high. It was that guy that used to come and buy blow from him that was getting him high, gave him like a bunch of Quaaludes, and thought that Randy had forgotten, like he was blacking out, and he started beating on Randy to take his money and his Coke. Randy kept telling people for years, I don't know who it is, I don't know who it is, I don't know who it fucking is. And he goes, I know where the guy lives now, because he became friends with him. He still was friends with the guy. He kept telling the guy, bro, where'd you drop me off last night?
Really?
And the guy was saying, oh, I dropped you off in fucking Sherman Oaks. Randy knew the whole thing. He just wanted to let the guy rest. What a brilliant fucking plan. And he goes, I just want you to know you're going to read about the fucking paper in about a week. And sure enough, about 10 days fucking later, man gets brutally attacked in Union City. Piped. They cut him. They fucked this motherfucker up. Took him 18 months to do it. But watch how he fucking played it. He played it straight from the hospital. He knew exactly who it was when he was in the hospital, and I was there when the cops were leaving, and he told the cops how he didn't know. I have no idea. I don't know. I was high.
Yeah.
So
did he get caught? What happened to that guy?
I think the guy was fucked up for a while, like wheelchair shit for a while. He fucked him up. Randy Mergel died about 2 years ago in Florida. One of the best guys I know, R.I.P. I was just thinking about stories that these animals that we listen to love. And if that's not patience, guys, and he played it right. Because I would have lost my mind in the hospital. This guy, I remember going to see him in the hospital. I remember going to his house, and he had the stitches across his face like Frankenstein. He kept, and he would call the guy and give him blow. He let the guy relax. He let the guy sit for fucking a year. Nothing. Yeah, we're best friends, man. I'm sorry about that letting you go. And he fucking waited for the guy and piped him almost to fucking death for doing that to him. For the last couple of years, my blood pressure's been high. But it's not like been high like high. It's been off the charts high. So the doctors gave me medication. I go to acupuncture, and then it goes back and forth. You know what I'm saying? It goes back and forth. You know, I lost the weight. I try to work out. They said if you do certain yoga positions, it lowers your blood pressure. I try to do those every morning. You know, anything that elevates your heart. So like headstands. I can't do no fucking headstand. I'm not going to sit here. But they have bridges and shit you could do and crabs upside. So I do all those in the morning, you know. And I go down. I walk in there. No cigarettes, no weed, 8 hours of sleep. I'm 180. Over 110. So the only other thing they're dismissing is that I have white coat disease, which means that whenever you're around doctors, your blood pressure goes up.
Right.
Which
that would make sense.
It makes sense. But they don't believe it. They say, you know what, it's getting too, and my heart doctor's concerned, and this doctor's concerned. So finally, I'm starting to get concerned. I don't want to fucking have a stroke, you know?
No.
So I went down there last week for my knee, and I talked to him about it. And again, my blood pressure was high. So over the weekend, he wants me to piss in a jar, one pee just straight, and then the other one's in hydrochloric acid. That's the one I'm peeing in today. And then I have to bring it to him. And then if they can't find the results, then they're gonna make me swallow some fucking ink and look through my veins. Maybe there's a vein that's not contracting or something like that. I don't know, you know. But that's, my ankles used to swell like Ralphie May's. You know, when you're 400 pounds, your circulation sucks. And that's what I've been working on the most, is my circulation the last couple months. That's why I got into yoga, and I go to stretch classes, and I go to karate, because it's a lot of stretching involved. So that's all it is. That's the reason. I mean, you know what, man? Our bodies are like a car, and we never know it. You know, the warranty, once you have 3 year, 36 mile thousand, you get 3601, and all of a sudden the fucking axle goes out. With bodies, you know, and you know, you've had rough lives, whatever, if you do drugs or whatever, by 44, 45, the diabetes starts acting up, and that was my major concern.
Yeah, you have to take care of it, absolutely.
And you gotta be a good friend to yourself and just do little fucking things, you know. Yesterday I walked around for an hour. This morning I walked, you know, I try to do little fucking things, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I tell you, I wish I would have started this at 20. We have a lot of listeners that are 20 and 21, you know. Go to the doctor. You know, they say you could die from a heart attack from a fucking tooth. Like if your tooth is infected, it could go right to your fucking heart. There's so many little things that can happen. And if you have insurance and you have a decent job, you have insurance, use it. I had insurance for fucking 8 years, SAG insurance, and I didn't even do that. I never even went down there. When I met
Are you
Sarah,
serious? In that whole 8 years you had SAG, you never?
I got here in 97. In January 97, I booked a movie, and they gave me SAG insurance right away. One time.
Lucky dog, really?
Yeah, one time I went to the dentist. I had an abscess, and I went to Cedar Sinai, and they did some shit, and I didn't pay, and I thought I had bad credit, and it never came up because the insurance picked up 100%. SAG insurance. You know, I went in there with like a different name and shit, and they're like, no, you have a SAG ID card. Well, that's the thing,
too. You know, when you grow up in a lifestyle, like you were saying, everything was under the table, and no one really paid. You know, whatever happens, it's not. When your mother passed away, to get Social Security.
Right. She didn't work enough quarters because she worked under an alias.
Right. When you grow up like that, like I kind of grew up like that. Like I didn't know you could get insurance. I didn't know you could get a credit card. I didn't know. You know what I mean? Like you don't know certain.
Well, you're in a cash business, so I always like cash and stuff like that. But you never know. And now,
you never know.
I'll tell you what, man. I go to acupuncture. I try to do everything I can that the insurance has to offer. You know, I took a pamphlet home today. They got a pool up in Woodland Hills that you go to. This Saturday at Toluca Lake, they're teaching Qigong. You know, but if we don't take advantage of those fucking things they have to offer, then why are you paying into it? I got to make a certain amount of money every year with movies, and I have to pay fucking quarters. You know, so what the fuck?
Tax?
Quarterly taxes,
it's
like
the killer.
They fucking kill you every 3 months for a new card. So, you know what? I'm gonna fucking use it to my advantage. Yeah. For all those years I didn't use it, I'm banging them out now. You know what I'm saying?
It almost makes you want to go on welfare. Anyway.
Woo! That's a deep one right there.
No, you know, my mother was on welfare because my mother was an invalid, and she just would do the goofiest shit. And then when she died, I had to go back, and she was a little bit of a pack rat. Like I can't watch that show Hoarders because my mom could hoard. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and she would do stuff like she would have 50 candles on a shelf. I'm collecting candles, but it's like, well, let's burn a couple of them. You know what I mean? You can't say fucking everything. But when I had to clean up her apartment, I found that she had a gold American Express card. And I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, how did you get that?
I've always been a student of anything I do, but the biggest student I've always been of is of life. I've always liked to watch people ever since I was a kid. Like when I was 16, I'd watch the people who joined the Army around my area, and I'd watch how they'd act when they come back to see if anything was going to happen to their life. And they come back 4 years later, they were the same drunks they went when they went. Mm-hmm. So I knew, like, I wanted something to change my life, but I would always look at different people. And last week, in the last podcast, we told the story about, this podcast is about, being optimistic.
Right.
And we talk about how your life changes, and now we talked about Steven Tyler, how I went to see him, and here's this guy. He's got no fucking bandmates left. He's on heroin. He's playing the bottom of the fucking barrel, whatever, the soap factory in Jersey, which is the bottom of the fucking barrel, you know what I'm saying? And you got to think, and all of a sudden, 26 years later, he's on American Idol. And I was thinking about a different story, about a different guy that I've always watched because I liked him. I've always liked to watch people. Like, I always watch comedians, not watch their sets, but I watch what they do. I'll pinpoint 2 people, and I'll watch what they do and the results of what they got from doing that.
Right.
Look, the big picture, not the little picture.
Maybe absolutely. Like Dane Cook, whenever he says a punchline, he tugs at his t-shirt.
No, I don't talk about that. No, I don't talk about that.
To hide his muffin top.
I'm talking about what happens.
Look at a Dane Cook video.
No, right. No, I'm talking about when you get a Showtime special. What does it really do for you? When you move up the food, there's a Showtime special, do more for you. There's a Comedy Central special, do more for you. So I always make comparison notes. And then I make notes of where people are and where they are now. And I do it with athletes, I do it with musicians, just because I want to see if my prognosis was right.
Right.
And then we took
we
take a look at a guy like Lawrence Taylor. In the early 80s, Lawrence Taylor was my world. I played linebacker. I loved how he played the fucking game. He went out there and he fucking tortured people. I remember Thanksgiving Day, him running back 97 yards on a thing and me sitting there going, holy shit, this guy's an animal. Then the rumors came out about the drug use and the crack and everything. And I put 2 and 2 together, but I read his book, and they always talked about how, he did. Anybody who does coke knows you fucking can't do coke before a fucking game. Because even if you were that much of a junkie, you love the game so much, and you're trying to focus that when they're paying you that much money, you did coke the night before, and you probably did coke till 4 a.m. But people are like, oh, he's so good because he does coke before the games. Don't be fucking such an asshole. You're on adrenaline. Your heart would fucking blow up. But the point of this story is, in 1985, right before I was getting ready to leave New Jersey, my friend's house burnt down. And the insurance company put him in a hotel, but they happened to put him in the Sheridan Center in Lyndhurst, and it was this beautiful fucking hotel at the time, and all the black athletes would hang there, like from any team that played for Jersey or New York. Some of the Knicks would hang out there, the Jets, the Giants, the Generals at the time, which is the USFL Football League, and this was it was a USFL League that came in the spring. So she used to tell me about all these players that hung out, and they had the best happy hour ever. If you bought a soda, they had like steak on a stick, and they had all this shit that nobody else had. Potatoes, beef stew.
Right.
Everybody else was giving you little finger sandwiches. The fucking Sheridan threw down. So before you know it, we would just go to the Sheridan, get drunk, get a package delivered at the Sheridan, and then she lived upstairs with her mom. They gave her a hotel room and her mom a hotel room, and we were all friends. And it's really funny that one day Lawrence Taylor walked in, and here I am at the bar, Felicia, gacked out of my mind. It's 10:30 at night. I've been drinking those brown rum and cokes, those fucking, they used to drink something there, Bahama Mamas that had like light rum. And,
right.
I'm fucking lit and I'm bumping up. And I'm watching Lawrence Taylor. And I got this big old rock of coke in a fucking, like a newspaper.
Yeah.
With the thing top, and I have it in my pocket. And I'm basically going into the bathroom every 15, 20 minutes and just putting a rock in my nose and coming out.
Oh my God, Joey.
So Lawrence Taylor walks in with shorts, sneakers, a Guinea t-shirt, a white beater, and a black leather jacket from head to toe over this outfit. Right on. Baddest motherfucker in the league. It's 10:30, and I'm watching him. I see that he's going in and out of the bathroom. He's hanging out with a bunch of other players in the Giants, but he keeps going in and out of the bathroom. So I go, I'm going to wait till he goes in the bathroom, and I'm going to fucking go in there. Now, at the time, it was 1985. He hadn't won a Super Bowl yet, but he had won Defensive Player of the Year and Rookie of the Year. Everybody knew who the fuck he was. And it's funny that one time he went into the bathroom and I went in there after him real quick. And he was pissing and I went to the stall like 3 down. So he would have to walk past me. And Felice says he walks past me. I go, LT, what up? And he goes, what's happening, baby? I go, LT, I got the shit that killed Kennedy. You want to do a bump? And I showed him the Coke Rock. And he looked at the Coke Rock and he looked at me and he goes, get the fuck away from me, you dumb motherfucker. He goes, I'll throw a beating on your white fucking ass right now. And I'm like, dog, I don't know. I was just asking you want to do a bump. He goes, get that shit away from me, you lucky motherfucker. I'm going to get you thrown the fuck out of here right now. Like, he just went off on me. And I didn't think any different of him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I didn't think any different of him. I understand. You know, I was disrespectful to him. You just don't approach somebody. I should have talked to him first for a little while. And then in the conversation, he would have said, hey, your jaw's moving. And I would have said, so is yours. Let's go fucking share a bump. You know what I'm saying? You just can't go up to a guy and grab their tit, a woman. You got to massage him first. Same thing happened.
Right,
I met him in the
right.
men's bathroom.
That's
like, hey, man,
true.
you want
That's
to do a
true.
fucking bump? But it's so weird. Like, you think about it right there. At that time, 85, he was the fucking top of his world. Like, you know, even with the drugs, I expected him. What do you expect? For him to retire and to maybe be a sportscaster and to be Lawrence Taylor. When you see him, you shake his hand and he's still a gentleman. And I don't feel any different about him because of that situation. But look at where he is today. He just got caught with an underage fucking hooker that was kidnapped from her parents. What a fucking mess. What a fucking mess at this age.
Yeah.
You know, what a fucking mess. You know, you always live your life so you do all the good, bad shit out of the way early, and then your fucking golden years, you just sit at home and get Social Security checks and you drink. Whatever the fuck are you going to do, you know?
Right,
Can you imagine being on probation when you're 56? Last week I read where he had to go into court because he has to register now as a sex offender. You know how embarrassing that is? And he's married.
Yeah.
He's fucking married. You know? I mean, so it has to stop somewhere. So you have to think of yourself, where did because Steven Tyler finally went into a rehab and they came out with Done with Mirrors and the rest is history. You know, Walk This Way with the fucking Run DMC and the rest was history. But somewhere along the line, both of these people had to look at themselves in the mirror and say, I don't want this to go on. And I've heard through the grapevine that Steven Tyler still has a drink once in a while or does a bump here and a bump there, but he looks fucking great. It's how to maintain it. Mm-hmm. You know, for Lawrence Taylor to let his life go out of control, and it hasn't gotten any better. It's just gotten worse over the years. Every fucking 3 years, he gets caught with crack. Yeah. That's the famous thing when they go, Lawrence, on ESPN, and Lawrence, what happened? He goes, I was framed like a motherfucker. That was one of the greatest quotes of all time.
That's what I'm going to call this episode. Yeah. I was framed like a motherfucker.
And because the cop came up to him and he asked him for crack, even then, at 45, 48, you're still fucking around with crack.
No, I mean, it's, that is, you know, like I've known people that, you know, at 35, got a heroin addiction, or you know, like how do you do that at 35? You know, at that point it's all easy to reassess. You know, and but everyone's here for a different reason. Everyone has their own. Don't make me fucking be that chick again.
The sad thing is that heroin will always fucking get you. If you think cocaine and cigarettes will get you,
14-year-old girls will get you. Any fucking vice.
Heroin as a fucking whole, Felicia. Yeah. When you do a bump of that shit, then you do another bump, and then you're like, hey, can you get some more of that for next weekend? Because I had a good time. Then you do another 2 bumps, and then 1 week you do it, and you meet a girl that's hot, and she's like, dog, you're wasting your time. Yeah. I got some works in here. Let's shoot that fat little arm of yours. And thank God I never got to that point, because that's the point where you don't come back.
That's a
you
tough
just
one.
Don't come back. You know what I'm saying?
When I was a teenage girl, my mom made me watch, I think I might have been 13, 14 years old. There was a made-for-TV movie with Helen Hunt, and it was about how she did drugs, and, you know, when she was a teenage girl, and it didn't end well. And you know what? That stuck to me, because even when I was at the Comedy Store and everyone was coking up, and it was like, yeah, no. You know, like, okay, I stayed up one night and wrote a letter for my dad till about 6 a.m, cried, threw it in the trash, and then I was done with that experiment. You know what I mean?
It's weird how things get you. They can get you at any age. I can't even imagine getting a fucking, you know, we're talking about being a fucking filthy junkie. And I was telling you the story when I had the fat ball on my neck and I had surgery.
Talk about that.
And I had, you know, I was going through a time, people, that, I mean, I used to get pain in my stomach if I wouldn't get high at night. By 8:05, I get this pain. You can't even describe it.
Really?
And I'd get in the car, and I could be honest with you guys, I'd get in the fucking car, and I'd drive, and I wouldn't even focus. Like I was taking the $40 out of the ATM machine. I couldn't even focus. Like I wouldn't focus even in the car. I would run red lights, anything to get to that fucking guy. And until I had it in my hand, I could focus again. And it was just so weird. It got out of control for a while, and I knew it got out of control, and I just blamed it on the comedian life. I said, fuck it, this is part of writing jokes and shit. You do a G-bow, you go home, you look out a window, you get dead dick, that's all part of it. And then I had this fat ball, so I went down and I told the doctor the truth. I said, Doc, I like to fucking do powder and smoke dope. He goes, well, I'll tell you what, we're going to double anesthesia you because you're a big guy. You don't want to fuck around with that stuff. So for like 20 days or something, I didn't do blow, and then I like stopped, and I couldn't take 11 days, so it was 8 days I was exactly clean before I got the surgery from coke. The weed I stayed away from, but man, I even took money with me to the surgery that morning. Like I knew I'm going to have the surgery, and on the way home, they're going to make me go home, but no. I'm going to make 2 stops. So I called the medical marijuana store the night before, and I told them my story, and they go, we'll have a care package waiting for you. So you don't have to wait online or nothing. Just give us $85 or whatever it is, and we'll give you more stuff, a goodie bag. They like me, these guys. They're not there anymore. So I get this fucking surgery. I'm going to see the sign. I take the fat ball out of my neck. I'm in recovery. And once I woke up in recovery, Felicia, it was that pain because I hadn't gotten high in 8 fucking days. And they're like, Mr. Diaz, relax. We're going to put you in your own room. Insurance cover you till tomorrow morning. I'm like, listen. I know what you're talking about, their own room. As a matter of fact, get my pants right now. And they're like, well, we have to wait. And I just threw a hissy fit. I'm like, I don't want to fucking wait. I really did get like an anxiety attack. Like I didn't like being in a room with a bunch of people going, you wake up in fucking recovery. Everybody's in pain. You know what I'm saying? So something between the pain of recovery and my addiction and my anxiety, I just popped up and I basically got that fucking thing out of my arm myself. I mean, it was horrible. I was ready to walk out of there with my pajamas with your ass out. And Terry was like, what's the problem? And I couldn't tell Terry at that time. And I got my pants on. I gave the guy a $50 tip that walked me from the thing to the fucking...
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I went to the hospital with $200. I came home broke. My wife was like, how much did you give him? I go, $50. The guy gave me a ride. You know how they run you the thing? The guy fucking got me ice, a soda, a drink, anything I wanted after I gave him the 50. Those black guys get like $1.
My God.
I threw this motherfucker a 50.
Oh my God.
And from there, Terry's like, okay, we're going to stop and get you at CVS and get your prescription. I'm like, and then we're going to go right home. And I go, we got to make a stop at Dante's. And she's like, what do you mean? Why do you have to go over there for? I go, I got to get some books from him.
Oh my God.
So I run into his house with this fucking patch on my throat and these stitches in my neck. I run in and I go, Dante, give me the fucking powder and give me a book. He ain't got no books. He's got like High Times and rolling papers and shit. So he gave me some book that belonged to his mom or something. And I put the gram of coke and then I went to the car. And she's like, did we have to stop that book right now? I could have picked it up later. Dog, it's a good book. You know what I'm saying? It's that good of a book.
Do you think Terry ever suspected that was happening?
Fuck yeah. What woman? There's no dumb woman. You've been around my wife. My wife will play possum.
I know. I'm
but
all
she'll
like,
give you rope. Yeah, this is just...
This isn't the same girl that can fix barbecues and light fires. You know what I mean? Like, that's
she
not
knew.
a dumb...
She knew, but she didn't want to know.
Right.
She loved me, and she thought that...
So you guys never talked about it?
We talked about it after I got clean, about a year after. I said,
But
this
she
is what
never
we're
brought
gonna
it up to you?
Whatever.
Yeah.
She knew, but she didn't know, and I didn't really say nothing. And I think she was giving me rope because she thought eventually it was going to snap.
Right. Wow, Joey, she really loves you.
Yeah, and I think it would have snapped eventually.
Wow.
And I'm happy it didn't. I'm happy I caught it because the last thing I want to do, listen, you're going to have regular things in a relationship. Any relationship, there's going to be problems, okay? But there's things that you do as a human being that you can't bring into a relationship because it's really going to cause problems. And before you do those things, you have to think about everybody involved. And when you're 20, you don't think about that shit. And even when you're 30, you think about it, but you don't commit to it. As you get old and you look at this person that you love, and I'm not even talking about a girl or a guy. It could be your mother or whatever. If you get arrested and you live with your mother and she's 72, it's not going to be good for her. Even if you just get arrested for 10 days or whatever. So anything you do, really, like I tell people all the time, listen, man, I can do anything. If I stab somebody and go to jail, Felicia, so be it. I can handle myself and I can handle it. It's the people on the outside that can't handle it. They're the ones that are fucking worried about you. They're the ones that are saying, Jesus Christ, how can I even have a good fucking time when my buddy Joey or my wife or whatever is in fucking jail? So you have to think about everything. And I would never want, my biggest fear, I got to tell you, was for that poor woman to walk out and see my 400-pound ass on the floor with my arm green.
Yeah.
She would never recover from that. But the beauty of it was, she didn't ever needed that in her life. She didn't ask for that. Do you know what I'm saying? Some people don't ask for something, but some people are that selfish that they want to put it on people. I don't believe in that. These are things you got to handle. It took me 10 years to marry that fucking girl. If I was smart, I would have married her after a week, which she would have. I remember messing around with her going, let's go to Vegas. She's like, yeah, I call my father. You know, I know this girl. I never wanted to break her heart. It meant that much to me not to break her heart. I could be a fuck up. You know, we could fall out of love, Felicia. Things happen. But no matter what, I didn't want to break her heart, not hers.
So you get in the car, you have the book, you guys leave.
Yeah.
And then what
Sorry
happens?
about that. I go home, and I go right to the bathroom to pee and take a shit. And while I'm shitting, I do 2 bumps of coke. And it's 2 in the afternoon. But I couldn't take the pain in my soul anymore from being clean for those 8 days. And then I went out in the living room, and she had to know something because all of a sudden my fucking neck started bleeding again. And some normal person would have taken the rest of the cocaine and threw it away. What do you think I did? You don't even need to answer that. Told me a beautiful story the other day.
About?
Your pre-divorce. You were in deep thought because the children were involved.
Yeah.
It wasn't about you no more.
You know, you get to this point when you're in a relationship with someone and you're like, oh man, I could totally fuck around. No one's gonna catch me. You know, if I have a good life, but dude isn't digging on me sexually anymore. Like I was in a situation where it's like I could just not say anything and have the best life for the next 25 years. I was in that situation. But you know what? It was starting to make me angry, and it was starting to make me become like this angry little cunt and a house Nazi. And I didn't want to be that person. And I was like, if I stay here, yeah, I'll have everything I want in life. I will be taken care of completely.
But there's no happiness.
But then I could write an adventure on a napkin about the rest of my life, and it was at that point I was like, if I don't fix my life right now, I am not going to be able to control myself. I'm going to act out, and I'm going to burn up everyone else's fucking life. So I need to fix this.
Including your children.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the ones that, at the end of the day, that's the shame.
Yeah,
that's the fucking shame. And it doesn't have to be children. It could be a mom, a grandma, a brother, a sister that's around that really cares about you.
Yeah.
So you always have to take these things into consideration.
Absolutely.
When you told me that story, it really touched me because I know you, and you're a beautiful girl. You can have any man you want. This guy can move.
For about another 3 months, and then
it doesn't matter.
No.
You're a beautiful person inside. You always have a fucking man. Your heart, and it's weird that you actually told me that. You're like, I thought about those fucking kids. And I thought about what it would do to those kids. And you could have lived 25 years and done what the fuck you wanted to, but it would have reflected on the kids because you wouldn't have been happy. And there's always a fucking shortcome, and that's a beautiful thing.
If I stay in this situation, I'm just going to be a fucking nightmare to live around. Am I damaging my children more because I'm going to become this fucking nightmare because I'm not pursuing, my path has changed and it's not making me happy? Or do I damage them more by making their future financially a little riskier? It's scary, and breaking up the family, like sometimes I was talking with my girlfriend who is going through a bad time, and women, we get really angry for the fact that and it's not women, it's if you're in a relationship, whether you're the man or the woman or the person that's really unhappy. I feel like in my marriage we were both kind of unhappy. I don't think he was aware of it as much, but something wasn't working anymore, right? So what I got so angry about, and what a lot of people get angry about, is if you're the person constantly saying, this isn't working, how can we change this? If you don't want to change it, help me dismantle this. It's when you're in a relationship with someone and you have to do all the work, either to make it bearable or to dismantle it. You know what I mean? And then the responsibility and the blame gets put on you. But it's like if you're in a situation like that, don't fuck over your partner in some way. Just deal
with it. No, you gotta deal with shit.
It'll suck for 6 months, but then afterwards you can have as much pussy and dick as you want.
I got a email, and it's funny because a buddy of mine came over yesterday that I hung out I hung out with both of these guys, him and his brother. But me and his brother were goombas when we were young. We robbed a jewelry store together. We robbed dealers together. I mean, it's endless. And we were tight. And I grew up, and he had that pain in his heart. And he had asked me, I got an email this week, which is really weird, about my daughter, that things will work out, that they heard the podcast. And I forgot to tell you guys this, and I was talking to him.
Your daughter heard the podcast?
No. This kid heard the thing, and he, my daughter's going to come back, and then be patient. And I was thinking about it, and it goes back to this, that one day I picked my daughter up. She was 3 or 4. And I pick her up at daycare. I used to pick her up Wednesdays and Sundays and have her all day. And she says to me, Daddy, what's a spick? And I go, where'd you hear that,
Right,
Yeah. And I'll never forget that when I went over and I blasted the guy that was dating my wife, that I was wrong for blasting him. And here's the funny thing. I forgot to tell the home viewers. At the time, I had 2 felonies in Colorado. So one more, I get automatic 25 years. But that was my daughter. She was a 4-year-old girl. I grew up with that word spick in New York. And it wasn't the word spick that bothered me at all whatsoever. It doesn't bother me. I laugh about it. It was that 4-year-old knew it. If she knew it at 10, I wouldn't be pissed off. But at 4, that shouldn't be her world. Do you follow me? Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget, I went down there with the 2 felonies, knowing that 25 years. And I pulled up to the thing, and I looked at him, and I asked him politely. And I remember smacking him the first time and punching him, and him going down and turning around and seeing my daughter crying in the car. And that's when I knew that this wasn't about me. This was about this little girl. Yeah. And, sometimes I tell stories, and I tell things about my daughter, and people, well, you should talk to her. These were the things that got me away from her. Because this is what I grew up with. I grew up with my dad and me being in a fucking car and him seeing a dog cross the street tied to another dog, and he'd get out and beat the fuck out of a guy and get back in the car like nothing happened. You know what? It's cool when you're 5, but when you're 30 and you think about it, you're like, that should have never happened. Right. I shouldn't have been exposed to that.
Right.
And, sometimes I didn't want my daughter to grow up in that hell, yelling and screaming. Because I was sick of yelling and screaming. My next move was to stab her. And nobody needs to see that. Or to shoot her, or to punch her in the fucking mouth. Yeah. So I always think that way. I always think about the people around me. Sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you got to put a fucking stick to somebody's fucking head and suffer the consequences yourself. But 90% of the times, you really got to think about the situations and the people around you.
Absolutely. Should we give a shout out to our wonderful sponsors?
Hell, motherfucking yeah. SkinIndustries.com, a leader in motherfucking athletic apparel. Go there for t-shirts, hats, motorcycle accessories, but most importantly, for the limited edition Beauty and the Beast t-shirts. I spoke to Anthony last week, and we don't have that many left.
Really?
Yeah, we don't have that many left.
The
no, I haven't mailed anything this week because I had no computer till this morning now.
Oh yeah, Joey got a new computer. Everybody,
some shit, and I still can't go to the Beauty and the Beast page.
There's 2 people have told me there's a link that's not working correctly, so I'm going to check that. Yeah.
Okay, so that was it. I couldn't. I've been trying to go to the page to read the comments. I did go to the email and read.
By the way, the comments have been fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that everyone's kind of talking to each other and
calming
down a bit.
Pretty soon after you go on your trip in June, we're gonna put up a board, a thread board, so we could talk to people every once in a while.
Well, you can comment on that yourself.
Yeah, but then I have to comment and wait. I want to go to a board where 10 of us could go on all at once and talk about the Beauty and the Beast thing. I don't know how to do it.
Right.
No,
I'm
sure
I'll do
that. The Master at Arms will figure it out. And that's it, my love. It was another fun-filled week. You look beautiful, as usual.
Thank you very much. I know you're lying, but it is very
No, you look very sexy. I tell you all the fucking time. I tell you if you don't look bad, but you never look bad.
Well, thank you very much.
Sexy motherfucker.
And
how many people fucking sent you love on that drunk cast the other night?
Oh,
how many motherfuckers said you were beautiful?
Oh, we got to talk about the other night.
What happened?
So Leota Machida.
Machida?
Oh my God! Right? Like
did you like Steven Seagal too?
Oh yeah.
With his glasses and his black jacket on.
I know. I was. That kick to his face. Holy shit! I didn't think that dude. I didn't know who he was. I was like, what the fuck? And then the other guy that got hit, and he had
Dominic, whatever.
Yeah, he was
Dominic.
like half of a Hellboy, but it was a blood blister.
Tremendous.
What the fuck was that?
It's like a hematoma. You just pop it after you put some ice on it, it goes back down. But the thing that he was losing like that, with the bump on his head, and he was still on top of Jose Aldo in the 5th round.
I know.
And I always knew that kid was going to bring it. I knew that.
That was crazy.
I knew that he was probably the closest of upsetting somebody.
Yeah.
But Aldo's so fucking good. Aldo's so fucking good that
I'm almost getting addicted.
Yeah, no, we're gonna watch the
I
Memorial
know.
Day one, and
But the drunk cast was fun. When we went into the drunk cast, I was like looking at and what is this? What is this box right here, and why is everything plugged into that? Because he has it down with cameras and different monitors, and and 20 people in and out. And
the funny thing was, Red Bank called me yesterday. He's like, "What the fuck was in that banana bread?" He got really fucked up. Because, see, what happened was when they made it this time, I think the oven twisted because the top was okay, like regular banana bread cover, but the bottom was black. And it even tasted weird. You know what I'm saying? So when I ate the half of it, I was fucked up.
Well, you know what? I am a mother, and being on the podcast, the Drunk Cast, that was because everyone's doing, puffing away. And do you want some? Fuck no, I don't want some on camera. You know what I mean? What's wrong with you? But I not that I would do that, but you know what I'm saying.
So it was a good time for all. But we will be back next week on the same bat time, same bat channel, bitches. Felicia, throw these cocksuckers a kiss.
Mwah.
I love you, bitches. Stay black.